First tonight, the Queen led the royal family at today's Order of the Garter service, but noticeably absent was Prince Andrew. The Duke of York was reportedly banned from appearing at the ceremony after Charles and William lobbied the Queen. The decision was apparently made at the very last minute, with the Duke of York still featured on the Order of Service. It's been reported that Andrew hoped his appearance with the royal family would be a springboard back to a public life, and he wanted his patronages and his HRH title returned. Note this is just 5 months after he was stripped of them, following the multi-million-pound settlement with Virginia Giuffre. The Duke was seen today driving alone from his royal lodge to Windsor Castle. So, is it too soon for Prince Andrew to appear publicly with the royals? I mean, as far as I can see, when we watched Emily Maitlis interviewing the fella, we could not believe how deeply delusional he was. When we heard that afterwards he thought, that went pretty well, don't you think? when we realised that he didn't think that, you know, Pizza Express at Woking was going to become a catchphrase in every panto in the land, and people weren't going to laugh at the idea that he didn't sweat. He just didn't twig any of that. So I think we already assume he's somewhat delusional, don't we? But the idea that just 5 months after this kind of token ban that sort of was meant to indicate that he's disgraced, he thought he could just inch back again and be Colonel-in-Chief of the Grenadier Guards, apart from everything else, so soon, so fast, without any atonement being publicly seen, seems absolutely bewildering. What do you think of it?
I mean, it's just a complete lack of self-awareness on his part, right? That he thinks he can just go back to mummy, as it were, and say, I'd like my HRH back, I'd like my titles back, I want my blue cloak, my white hat, and I want to be front and centre for this parade that's taking place today. Now, going to Prince Philip's memorial service, I can understand that. It was his father. But I think it's just far too soon for Prince Andrew to think that he can just sort of waltz back into public life, that we've all forgotten and everything will be okay. Like you so rightly said, the lack of self-awareness after that interview, that he thought, oh no, that did really well there. When everyone else in the country was like, are you sure? Are you sure?
Mike, what do you think? Were you gobsmacked by the Maitlis?
Absolutely. I mean, I was amazed at the story initially. I thought, well, this can't be right. Surely he can't be asking to be at this thing on Monday. And, you know, when you heard that Prince Andrew was going to make a surprise appearance, you know, you were kind of thinking of all manner of different things that he might be thinking of. But I think he's just got used to having his mummy doing everything for him. And we're finally seeing that, because clearly he seems to think that because he's her favourite son, he could sort of ask her and she'll probably be OK with it. But he hasn't figured on Charles and William now, just going, no, I think his return should never happen. You know, any time is too soon. I just don't think... I think he should just disappear. Go and live in Scotland or something.
Well, Scotland's done to deserve it, those people are
about to say that.
Why Scotland? Why should Scotland be punished in this way? What do you think, Penny?
Well, I was just thinking, I mean, the problem is that if you've been given a job for life from the moment that you first arrive in the world, and then that is your job for life, and then all of a sudden you're told, actually, no, this is not your job for life, and this is no longer, you've got to go and find something else. And he's just, you know, as we know, you say he's delusional. I mean, you know, there were a lot of my friends who were saying, you know, that he showed how how not very bright he was. And the thing is that, therefore, he's got to try and find something else to do. I mean, genuinely, otherwise, what else is he going to do? He's got to do something. I don't know, maybe... Look at Daniel Day-Lewis. He became a cobbler. Maybe there's sort of some work that he can do where he can actually...
Cobblers might be the word, Jeremy. I don't know.
I mean, everybody will know that I'm a massive royalist, but this guy is everything that Republicans want. He is the most entitled, delusional idiot. I mean, last week there was a story, wasn't there, about he owed on the Swiss chalet 12 million quid.
Yeah.
And we all know, because we're not allowed to say it, right, we all know why Mummy, bless her heart, will always, I think, have a soft spot for him. But delusional doesn't even go there. I'm with Mike. It's not going to happen. And interestingly, if the monarchy, and I think what William said, apparently said, was that they were concerned that he would be booed, that there would be a bad reaction, and on the back of everything at the, you know, the Jubilee, which was great until Monday morning when it all went wrong again, but for that weekend or those 4 days. And I think Charles and William are very aware of trying to maintain some sort of normality if they're going to move forward. And I just think I think he's awful. Sorry, I think he's done.
It seems to me that there will be no coming back. There's no route to rehabilitation for him. Can you see a way forward? It's not a kind of John Profumo thing where he goes and works in, you know, with fallen women or something and helps them out and then comes back as a kind of redeemed character, is it?
It could be a campaigner. Maybe, I mean, you know, well, but he'd have to be very quiet about it until he actually sort of came out eventually and said, I've been quietly campaigning for... I don't know.
But he, of course, if he was sat here, he would say, I haven't. I'm not guilty. He's not been found guilty. I paid that to take the embarrassment away. And also, he would probably also say, and this is the one thing, this is the royal thing, he's probably got more mud on his brother than anybody even knows. You never know what goes on behind closed doors. From a public point of view, I don't think he ever gets back. I think you're right.
Why can't he kind of undertake country pursuits, the sort that the Queen would have preferred to do had she had the choice? I don't know, dogs, horses,
Well, you say what's
tilling the soil, that type
You
of
say
thing.
you don't know what he's going to do. He can do anything. He didn't have to work.
He's always
he could
fancied
do-
himself, hasn't he, though, as a sort of the guy about town. I mean, he was Air Miles Andy. He was always flying off somewhere, plays a lot of golf, you know, hangs around with lots of guys and makes little great jokes and everything. You know, and
Like
then
we do,
and
you know.
then let's go off to Tramp nightclub and pick up a few fillies. I mean, you know, it's embarrassing, isn't it?
Is he coming back now?